Bonjour and welcome to French 1 with Mr. McCoy. This is lesson 42, dedicated to sports and pastimes. Our primary learning objective for this lesson is for you at the end of the lesson to be able to identify a list of 21 sports and pastimes in French. And our secondary objective is for you to be able to talk about whether or not you like or enjoy each of those, or maybe to say something about who does or doesn't like each of these. Now, we did mention to contextualize this in the last lesson. We showed, we discussed two verbs, which are going to be very useful talking about engaging in these activities or playing these sports. Faire and jouer. We're actually going to use these here. We're just going to identify the sports and hobbies or pastimes in this lesson. Now, in the next lesson, we're actually going to see one little additional tidbit of information, and then we're going to draw it all together to talk about actually doing these things or playing these sports. Okay? But for this lesson, we just want to learn the names of these activities or sports in French. Now, when you hear me talk about 21 of them, that might have sounded like a lot, but fortunately, we're going to see in a moment that many of these French words are actually borrowed from English. They're going to look very close or often exactly like the names that we have for these in English. So I think this should go relatively smoothly, I hope. Okay? So since I think you'll be able to recognize a few of these without introduction, I'll go ahead and model for you what I mean by talking about your preferences and what you like and don't like. Again, let me just kind of help to review what you guys learned in lesson 14 about talking about your preferences, what you like and don't like. So take out a sheet of paper, scratch sheet of paper. When I talk about what I like and don't like, if you hear something that sounds like an activity, a sport, or pastime in English, jot it down. Maybe write a check. If you think I said I enjoy it, maybe write an X next to it if I use an expression that indicates I don't like it or I don't enjoy it. Does that make sense? You're just going to scratch your paper out and just listen carefully. So here we go. Écoutez. Okay. Écoutez bien. J'aime le foot, mais j'aime mieux le football américain. Je n'aime pas tellement le baseball. J'aime le tennis. J'aime le basket aussi. J'aime surtout le golf. Je n'aime pas trop le hockey, mais j'aime le volley. J'aime les cartes aussi. Je n'aime pas le roller en ligne, mais j'aime le patin à glace. J'aime la natation, mais je n'aime pas du tout l'aérobic. J'aime le vélo, mais je n'aime pas tellement le jogging. J'aime la photo et la vidéo. J'aime le ski, mais je n'aime pas le ski nautique. Je n'aime pas le théâtre non plus. J'aime l'athlétisme. Okay? So here I'm going to show you the list. The sports and activities I want you to know. Okay, I'll just go through this once. I'll say each one once. You can play the video a couple of times if you want to practice the pronunciation. Okay? So listen closely and repeat out loud after me. Okay? Écoutez bien et puis répétez à haute voix. À haute voix. Le foot. Ou bien le football. Le football américain. Le baseball. Le tennis. Le basket. Le golf. Le hockey. Le volley. Les cartes. Le roller en ligne. La natation. Le patin à glace. L'aérobic. Le vélo. La photo. Le jogging. la vidéo, le ski nautique, le théâtre, l'athlétisme. Okay, so there are your 21 sports and pastimes I'd like you to get familiar with, okay, in French. Now to make this maybe as meaningful as possible, what I recommend that you do is somehow connect this with what we learned in chapter 14, talking about likes and dislikes. Hopefully, when I talked about my own preferences just a few minutes ago, I hope some of those expressions sounded familiar. And do you remember from lesson 14? Do you have that down in your notes? Do you have some of those expressions for indicating your likes? Do you remember some of those? Okay. If you need your memory jogged, got a few of them here. You could use j'aime surtout, j'adore, j'aime beaucoup, j'aime bien, or j'aime. Now remember, we're talking about these activities, talking about our likes and preferences. Use the definite article. Okay? So for example, you like skiing. J'adore le ski. Okay? You like photography. J'aime surtout la photo. You have to include the definite article. Okay? And they should look familiar. Do you remember the expressions, on the other hand, for indicating distaste or disliking things? Well, again, if you need your memory jog, here are some of these that you can use. Okay? Je n'aime pas trop, je n'aime pas tellement, je n'aime pas du tout, or je déteste. If you remember, je déteste is probably the strongest, indicates the most dislike, greatest dislike or distaste for something. These might be new. Je n'aime pas trop or je n'aime pas tellement. These are kind of nice ways of saying that we don't like such and such. Okay. Je n'aime pas du tout. That's a little bit stronger too. I don't like that at all. Again, but use when using one of these to indicate what you or somebody else doesn't like. Again, use the definite article. Okay. So, for example, if you don't like soccer, je n'aime pas le foot. Or, I really don't like basketball. Je n'aime pas tellement le basket. Don't forget the article. Okay? So again, to try to help you master this, okay, help you, draw some meaning out of this, you could, once you jot down those activities, you could write out an expression, write out a sentence for each one, saying if you do or don't, how much you do, how much you don't like or dislike each one. You could do that. Might take a little while, okay? You could put those expressions kind of like as categories and put the different activities. For example, if there's some things you really like or like a lot, j'aime beaucoup, you could list them, okay? Kind of connect them in that way, okay? Or if maybe you thought about a particular person when we mention each sport or pastime, you could write a sentence mentioning that person. For example, a couple of my students, I could put Dante, Nick, et Diange aiment le football américain. Prudencio aime le tennis. Okay? If you thought about somebody in particular, write a sentence about that person. I think it'll help you retain, okay, the forms, the words, quicker if you express some actual meaning with this. Okay? Give it a shot. See if it works for you. Okay? Again, go back over it. Pay attention, again, to the genders. Again, most of the sports are masculine. That shouldn't be too hard. The other activities, some are masculine, some are feminine. Pay attention to the gender and the pronunciation. Okay? Merci bien, comme toujours. Bon courage. Merci. et au revoir.